All right, welcome into this Spark Sol Enspiration proposal presentation. Now, this presentation is in partnership with Respark Fitness Motivation, and together we will provide you with your organizational needs. So, let's get started. Who are we? Well, let's meet the team. Kyle Dusan Henson Jr., he's our co-founder, he's our educator, and our speaker. He is the one who communicates to all of us as well as communicates through paper. Mr. Renewell, this is a co-founder, but this is our coach and our trainer. This high-energy individual is one that is motivational, inspirational, and detailed. Mr. Colin Henson, a co-founder. He's an author and a blogger. He is our outreach coordinator. This person reaches the people. He's chill, he's relaxed, and he allows people to connect with people. And then finally, we have our mascot, Robin the Cat, which is a very unique individual, which inspires us to be our authentic selves. So, about us. Spark is a captivating book series that revolves around the theme of self-inspiration and personal growth. The series itself comprises of e-books and print-on-demand books, which offers a unique approach to motivation through affirmations, various storytelling, and forms of verbal communication. The concept of Spark, which means I spark, originated from the challenges faced by children in identifying and overcoming negative self-talk. We believe that negative self-talk is not you. We believe that negative self-talk is a ghost, and it is being used to program you. And so, as we introduce ourselves to these new ghosts throughout our life, throughout our human development, we can begin to identify what belongs to us, what doesn't belong to us, where we acquired these ghosts, and what were we supposed to learn from the stage where we acquired it. By introducing affirmations and encouraging readers to actively participate in creating their own words of inspiration, Spark aims to empower individuals to take control of their thoughts and emotions by becoming authentic to the thoughts and emotions. So, what is the issue? Our big issue is the lack of long-term motivation and adherence to spiritual fitness, adherence to wellness, and the health needs that are diminished once we start to become inauthentic with our own selves. When we start looking at others to take advantage of our own opportunities. When we look for others to provide us with the notions of this is healthy for me when they're not even me. So, the objective of this project is the potential to empower people to step into more of their authentic self, to empower individuals to overcome challenges, develop healthy habits, and gain deeper understandings of themselves, but by a factor of 3. In other words, we want to take all of these 3 benefits and apply them physically, apply them emotionally, and apply them spiritually. By doing these 3 things, we can start to develop more long-term understanding upon individual selves, individuals changing as oneself, and the notion of who I am while changing. This is really good for introducing new goals, new visions, new missions, as well as mergers. It allows us to understand who we was, who we need to become, and who is the person that is fighting between the two. When we can become more friendly with that person who is fighting between the two, then we can begin to understand how to live authentically as that fighting warrior between all aspects of change within our lives, no matter how that change or challenge presents itself, whether it be physically, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually. So how does Respark Fitness Motivation and Spark Sol Enspiration, how do these 2 things come together? Well, our vision is to fill the gap of existing resources and provide individuals with a powerful tool to reignite their own motivations, to enhance personal growth, and to allow them to unlock their own fullest potential. This unique combination of these elements provides a holistic approach to both the conscious mind and the subconscious mind, and this facilitates long-lasting positive changes. The ultimate mission is to guide the metacognitive and external self into a healthier boundary called the cognitive self. But we want this newfound healthy awareness of the cognitive self to be able to be applied at any stage of the human developmental spectrum. That means when I'm new to a topic, I can be healthy within my cognition. If I'm a seasoned veteran within a topic, I can still remain healthy within my cognitive disposition. There's no need to be emotional. There's no need to be physically distraught. There's no need to be spiritually uninterested. The idea is I can remain in a healthy state because I am okay with my internal state. My internal self is being projected externally. And now I can use my own self as my own intrinsic motivator. There's layers to this intrinsic side to ourselves, and in each layer, we have different levels of authenticity. The further we are away from our core, the more wide-reaching we are with our knowledge. In other words, we're more general. And this is the most expansive portion of Robert Vygotsky's zone of proximal development. It allows us to see what we can become aware of versus the most internal stage, which is the things that we are at the most aware of. So we're looking to bridge the gap between general knowledge and specific knowledge of how we present this information to oneself. Which brings us to our solution. What is the solution for your organization? Well, Respark YoSpark can serve as an effective tool for inspiring personal growth and self-cultivated inspiration. Are you a manager who's sick and tired of trying to motivate your team? Does your team not feel engaged? Do you believe that you're leaving money on the table quarter after quarter? Well, putting too much pressure upon yourself for you to be the solution is where we want to avoid. We want to avoid that place because that puts a lot of stress upon you, which means you have no time to find the solution for yourself. So our solution is to teach your team how to find that inspiration, how to find that spark, how to find that motivation for themselves. Our idea is if you can be an example of how they should behave, then you can support their actions and not support them. Not support them needing to change, but to support them as they're changing themselves. You can learn now. You can be in a healthier space within your own boundary as the manager, yet still be more engaged with assisting your staff. But the idea is we're assisting our staffs with personal growth and personal or self-cultivated inspiration, which means we must be inspiring ourselves and personally growing as well. So our project works in a few different ways. And the first way is you can be self-paced. You can go and you can provide yourself with your own educational learning tools, which are these 10 interactive courses. These courses or these classes focus on some different aspect of health psychology. In other words, we give you 10 different areas where you can personally grow and you can personally inspire yourself. And guess what? You can choose what you need versus what you don't. When you choose the area that you're weakest in, then you become more familiar, more authentic, and the more people who participate, the more of a network you begin to build based upon not what you want, but what you're doing. And that is the biggest key because a lot of people want to do a lot of different things, especially in a job setting. But on a personal side, if you do more things for yourself, then it bleeds into the realm of your reality, which means if you're serving yourself, that means you'll be more willing to serve others within your immediate environment. And this is what this self-paced course can help with. But if you need more than that, we also provide you with coaching. Now, the coaching aspects takes the courses and gives you more direct and dynamic interactions. This here will allow you to take the perspective of, let's say, self-management, and you can look at it now from a physical, a cognitive, a neurological, an emotional, or social aspect. So we can teach you how to change your own viewpoint on the things that you're already changing within yourself. Again, we're not trying to push anything onto you outside of the information you already contain. We just want to reorientate it to where you can be aware of how great you actually are. The clear model. As stated, the clear model is a model to bring clarity. And this is focused upon the internal aspects of oneself. We want to be more clear on who we are versus who we're programmed to be versus who we're trying to become. And so all of these things begin with awareness, but we have, just like in other areas of science, a differentiation of what we call awareness, passive and active. And so our goal is to bring more active awareness to the individual self. We want to help people become more consciously aware of themselves on the internal. So then they can take the correct steps to motivate themselves to continue taking the correct steps. And there's no incorrect step for oneself on the inside, which is why this is such a beautiful model. It allows people to become fully themselves without taking away from who they are, which takes us into our last step. Once we can become more familiar with our authentic self, then we can begin to develop a particular skill, mindset, or behavior as an individual. I can now become included within my own coaching because I'm aware of who I am and what type of coaching I need. So what can we expect? Well, you can expect a lot of different things, but in two different ways in particular, anybody who participates in this program will find some kind of reason to motivate, whether that's a joke, whether that's a laugh, whether that's you saying, oh my gosh, I'm out of shape, whether this is, oh wow, I can do it. The idea is we want to create a spark in you. We want to create an understanding that you can create for yourself, which is, I did that. Wow, I changed that. I didn't think I could, but I did it. These are terms that you can use for yourself, but we want to bring them out of you so where you can affirm not only the terms, not only the words, but the energy behind the entire phrase. We want you to recall that memory. And when you can recall that energetic memory on top of the mental memory, then we can start to inject different types of emotions. And now we can start to motivate different aspects of our intrinsic self. We can be flexible with the energy and the image of our minds. But just to change. If we don't want a general understanding, we don't want that, it's too abstract, we can be specific. And so if you want a physical change, all of these programs, all of these courses, and all of this coaching is going to give you knowledge and give you experience upon workouts. That's it. Straightforward to the point. Mentally, we'll teach you how to take information, integrate it, and cross-section it, and cross-cut it, and combine different concepts into new proactive strategies. In other words, if you can change your mind about something, we don't want you to choose, we want you to have a whole entire arsenal. An arsenal of tools that you can constantly use to manipulate your anxieties into a more beneficial state. Emotionally, By learning to apply spiritual techniques such as mindfulness, we can connect more to our mind, more to our body, which in turn connects us spiritually to our own authenticity. So, in order for us to make a change, we have to start with the inside, and not just the inside, the area of change on the internal side. So, how is the program structured? Well, at the end of the day, the program is consistent. Whether you're here as a team, whether you're here as an individual or small group, there's 6 weeks within this program. Initially, we all take an assessment. We got to find out who we are, what we like, what we don't like, and what's going on. And we must do that internally and externally. So on the individual side, it's a lot of self-work, a lot of contemplation. On the external side, a group, it's a lot of conversing. Week 2, we're going to sit down and we're going to set some goals. But before we set some goals, we're going to create some visions. But before we create a vision, we must understand how these things are developed. And so to develop a vision, or what we call insight here, is to understand yourself at a more authentic level. And then to understand what that authentic self needs by setting goals for that self. Not for your ego, not the things you want to do, the things that you need to do, and it's more likely in ways that you aren't fond of or unfamiliar with, which is why step 3 or week 3 is all about developing action plans and strategies. How can I maintain a goal? How can I maintain the steps to achieving that goal? How can I deviate from my path and stay on correct actions? How do I adjust and feel comfortable with the changes? These are all things discussed during week 3. Now, in the latter weeks of the program, this is us become more individualized, us providing more presentations, us showing what we've learned in the previous 3 weeks. And then these next 3 weeks are predicated upon making adjustments and finalizing our newfound attempt to change ourselves in the near future. So, skill development and growth mindsets goes hand in hand with week 3. Once we know how to develop a strategy and set a goal by creating new insights or visions, then we can look at how those skills change over time and how our skills that are changing over time has developed. Which means we have created a new mindset. And in that new mindset, we can adjust. In that new mindset, we can grow. But it all comes down through review. So during week 5, we'll introduce concepts such as meditation, such as studying your book of knowledge. These are areas that we can all participate in individually. But the adjustments will remain the same. If you don't have motivation, you need to find motivation. Whether you gain that from your Bible or if you gain that from your own intuitive self. And then step 6 or week 6. We must celebrate ourselves. We've gone through 5 weeks of changes and we're still going to change. The only difference here is we're going to anticipate change as a part of our long-term plan. Once we understand that we can make any adjustment to adhere to the long-term goals, we can leave grace. We can leave room for faith. We can leave room for areas of where we can become more parts of ourselves and not on our ego's time. Again, if we have to use an example of addictions, relapse is okay. Most of the time, people see that as a negative. But the concept is, are we getting better? Is it a continual progression? Is it a progress mode? Is it a area of slow growth or fast growth? We can anticipate change. And so once we can see how we're changing, then we can adjust. But then if we can't adjust as quickly as we learned, we have to be okay with that. If we have an addiction, or if we've been enacting a behavior, or if we haven't practiced a skill for 10 years, it will be difficult for us to immediately see a change within a week or 6. So by the end of the program, every participant should walk away with the understanding of I can. It doesn't have to happen today. It doesn't have to happen tomorrow. But if I know I can continue to do what I can. And that is the idea of long-term change. Now we are in a flexible mode. Now we are prepared to handle the challenges that we can anticipate. We have strategies to handle the changes that we can anticipate. And we have the flexibility to change our pathway and plans if need be. This is what long-term health is from the soul inspirational point of view. It is something that is graceful, just like most of all of our creators. Something that allows us time to grow, to change, something that will judge us but forgive us. Time is the best judgment of self. So, because time is the best judgment of self, time is energy, energy is money, so time is money. And with this, we have 3 different basic packages. Our individual package includes our 6-week coaching, again, the same 6-week structure. But it also includes one of our bundles, which is 2 courses out of the 10 in our comprehensive program. This bundle D is stress management and self-care. We believe that at the bottom line, if you can handle your stress by managing it, not by just eradicating it, not by just ignoring it, but if you can manage your stress, putting it into the right areas of self-motivation, then we can take that managed stress and apply it into more healthy routines called self-care. So if you have anxiety and you always are thinking about previous aspects, let's manage that stress into a self-care habit of possible journaling. Maybe we can start a podcast. But the idea is, can we manage the stress in our minds by allowing it to flow into another area? If you said yes to that, then you are caring upon yourself. And we can look at different ways to care for that self, which are expressed within these bundles. Our next package is for small group. Typically, we leave these out for a department or for leadership. This program is $10,000, which is about $200 off per person when you get into this bulk format, but you do get a few benefits. So outside of the 6-week coaching and the bundle, each individual gets 2 additional sessions. These sessions can be predicated upon the personal life or the professional world. We also include a team chat room. So now we can talk to each other, we can motivate each other, we can inspire each other. But in addition, sometimes we need private expertise. So we'll also offer a personal chat room for quick questions so individuals can grow at their own pace. Our third package is the full team package, and this is completely dependent on size. This is something that is negotiable, but we will work together to build the correct contract for your team. And as we find out and discover what areas of expertise your team needs to become more authentic to the company's overall organizational culture, then we can take the time to pinpoint specific groups, pinpoint specific individuals, and now we can organize all of these different areas into the correct package for you and your organization. So those are our 3 main packages, but any individual can pay $200 and receive a session. So we have ways for you to help your employees, but we also have ways for your employees to help themselves, which is the whole entire premise of the program. Can you help yourself? So here are a few questions to consider. Before you take on this financial responsibility, it's not a burden because it's an investment, but it is expensive to some and expensive to others. But if we can say that, that means this is inexpensive to some and inexpensive to others. So our value must be placed correctly within this program. And that value is based upon your own determination. So if you value self-change, if you value autonomy, if you value personally engaged workers, again, they have to be personally engaged, not professionally motivated externally. We want to create intrinsic motivational factors. You have to ask yourself as the leader, what is my current organizational culture? Is this a status of people who work together, who are inspired, who are engaged, who are willing to take the time and spend additional time in correcting areas of need? Then you can ask yourself, well, based upon that previous question of yes or no of the status, am I actually doing everything that I can as my own self, whether I'm a leader, a manager, or employee, to actually help my team? Am I giving it my all? And it's not putting in the work at the job. Am I handling my stress? Am I meditating to where I can be bombarded with more pressures but remain calm? What am I doing to make myself better for the team? Do these costs justify our return on investment? Is $10,000 worth it for 6 people? Just for them to be better for their own personal selves and possibly leave the company knowing that they're better for themselves now? Are we willing to take that risk? Well, that's for you to value, because without the risk, there's no reward. So, are we going to measure our reward based upon indicators outside of profit? Or are we going to use our return of profit margins in order to determine if this program was valuable? Either way you go, we want you to have fun with learning about ways to change my intrinsic values, ways to motivate myself and inspire myself to continue to motivate my internal self. Can you have fun learning about yourself? Can you enjoy the journey? Well, this is a long-term game, and that means you may need to think deeply about the situation. So in order to think deeply, we recommend that you remember your spark. This book here allows you to step into the testimony and understand my own psyche as to why I believe this is so important for every human across the world. It is so important for us to understand why we need to recall that intense moment of inspiration, because it wasn't created by us. It was cultivated by us over time. In that time frame, that moment of conception, that spark should be remembered, as it was the birth to everything thereafter. So we want you to use that spark as your own inspiration. We want you to understand that that spark came from areas of yourself, which means that that inspiration came from an internal self anew. You're changing. So can you become aligned with the changes that you're already enacting? Well, if you remember your spark, you absolutely will. And if you use your spark, soul inspiration, you will be able to enact these things within your team, within yourself, and within your entire culture. So I'm Coach Mr. Anu. I'm here to help you find that spark within. Thank you for listening.
Hey, Kyle, is that right? Could you tell me something about yourself and the position that you're coming to us to fill here at our corporation?
Will do. Hi, Maureen. So, as you already stated, my name is Kyle. I tend to go by Coach Mr. Anu. And what I'm here to serve you guys with is a taste of authenticity. Now, I really want to help people understand themselves a lot better. And when I say understand, I bring comprehension to the mind, the body, and the spirit. And so I don't overstep my boundaries. I understand this is a professional setting, but these are people. And because these are people, they have their own beliefs. And my goal is to approach their changes in the best way that they can. So what I'll do for this organization is to help center all of your employees to where they can focus and then achieve better outcomes.
Thank you. So you would say, which is important for our organization, we have a lot of diversity and different, we're an all-inclusive community here. It sounds like that's something that you will be able to work with.
Yes, absolutely. I definitely pride myself on being able to recognize my own behaviors, but because I'm human, I understand that I can't recognize all of my behaviors. And so I think diversity is important because we get a chance to learn from others, even if we're doing the same thing, like the same role in a position.
All right, thank you. How is your holistic approach going to bring balance to our company?
Well, my approach is called the CLEAR model. And what the CLEAR model is a 4-step process that allows one to begin and then end in the same location, just like running a lap on a track. But the idea is after we go through each step, and even if we return back to the same point, we should have a newfound understanding about the topic. And the way we do that is by introducing new information to the client at one of those 4 stages. And so pretty much going to walk them through 4 areas of thought, and we're going to see what they know the least of. And by introducing them to a solution, giving them some more information, we're going to help them gain the tools to balance themselves a little bit better.
Okay, thank you. If there were conflicts to come up, which sometimes, people's personalities present that, how would you approach that?
So I'm not a very confrontational person myself. I tend to create boundaries and erect them. And when I have these boundaries erected, they're pretty strong, but there's always a default mechanism that I fall back on, and that is professionalism or whatever the setting kind of provides. So in the case of a dispute between team members at the same level, that's just like any other thing in a classroom. When I have them talk, they can't talk, I'm going to separate them. And if they can't separate, at the end of the day, we're going to look and have our consequences because we know the rules to the classroom. And in this case, this is a department. They're the same level. You guys are peers. There's no reason for you to dispute, especially if you feel the management isn't doing things appropriately. That's fine. You are an adult. You may or may not have children, but you know how to operate yourself within a classroom. Same thing here. So if you have an issue, we need to discuss it. And if we can't, we need to find separation. Now, there's conflict between 2 different levels, let's say a manager and then an employee, then that might be more of a training aspect for the manager. And the manager will be will be training them upon reception. So the idea is because we know we are a diverse population, the manager may not know how to receive all different diverse types of information. By us focusing on the CLEAR model, we're going to give each individual practice receiving information that's new. When you use the CLEAR model, it's information from yourself, so you trust it a little bit more, even if it's weird or even if it doesn't seem appropriate, but that prepares you for when you do see a new person, a new face, same words, it just prepares you to receive that information a little bit easier. So we would train that manager up just a little bit more so that they can receive their subordinates a little bit better.
Okay, well, thank you. That sounds like, you're able to hit all the points that we're looking for. What we want is a more positive culture here. We want people to collaborate and work together, but also we want to bring the holistic in, and that's not something that we're equipped with. So that's what we want you to bring to our company, our organization. What would you say is strengths that being a holistic coach provides?
Well, just like any CEO, just like any departmental head, I think what makes those positions important is the vision. Not only do they have vision or they can oversee it all, not only do they have detailed vision, but they have the ability to communicate those visions generally. And so taking 2 super specific things like a vision of a department or a detail of a person, opposite end of the spectrum, micro and macro, but there needs to be a bridge in between. And so I think the holistic coaching allows us to bridge those gaps of details within individuals and then details within departments, because at the end of the day, most people fit in one of those categories. Either I'm a detail-oriented person or I'm a generalist. Big, broad picture. I like to float in between both. And so because of that leaves me with the holistic side. I know my limitations in certain topics, but that means I know how to refer. I know how to obtain help and network. But for the things I do know, I know how to present that in a way that people can understand, because if you get too detailed, people will get lost in the sauce and nobody can eat. So I think that balance demonstrates my ability to be holistic, which is just an example of how I would bring benefits to the organization.
What would you say? It sounds like you might have I think it's a diplomatic coaching style. What would you say your coaching style is? Direct, creative?
Well, it's actually, you wouldn't believe it's because of how I come off, but the process of the clear model is pretty hands off. So I'm more of a laissez-faire type of
Laissez-faire.
boss. And I do understand that being a diplomat does help a lot, especially within the business world. But I'm in the business world to help people understand themselves. So on the business side, yeah, those things are going to be standardized. It's going to be operational. But the people who are operating the operations, those are the ones I want to focus on. And I can't force a change upon a person if that change isn't ready to be had. So to be more laissez-faire is to encourage, inspire, and motivate the people to want to make the change. But the other side of me, the more diplomatic or authoritative side of me, I will have the ability for them to make the change. So more hands off. You can take the extra credit if you want to, kind of vibe. You don't have to do it, but it's available.
Wow. Great. Well, Kyle, I appreciate you coming and letting us know what you have to offer us, and we will be getting back to you.
Awesome. I look forward to hearing from you soon.
Okay, thank you. Now we're in my recording button.